What a beautiful charge dash from Meldon to save him.
That faster?
Is that faster?
Oh my god.
Oh my god, this guy.
Milton, got it.
Oh, this is what a save.
All right. Welcome, everyone, back to Ori and the Blind Forest All Skills, our tournament. To everyone already following the tournament, welcome back. To anyone who may be new here and has maybe never even seen or heard of Ori before, we're happy to have you as well. Maybe you'll find a cool new game. On commentary, my name is Grimelios, and I'm joined by Rainbow Poogle. Poogle, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Grim?
I am doing great. I'm excited for our second match of the day. We had one earlier, and this is our last one today, although don't worry, we have more coming up tomorrow. This is our second match, Cubby versus mathluco, the second match out of the Forlorn Ruins group, which is actually a group that I'm part of. Math had a match against me yesterday, and so you can see the record there. I took that victory against Math, and today we'll get to see Math's second match versus Cubby. I think from here, I want to take a minute and start talking about these two runners. I will cover Cubby first, and then I'll toss it over to Poogle to talk about Math. So you can see the stats on the screen here. Cubby is a runner, a hybrid runner, plays most of the run on controller, and is going to be just doing a little bit of KBM menuing. He has a PB of 34.22 after starting after last year's tournament, so he's been with Ori for roughly a year, a little bit less maybe. Also previously ran Super Mario 64 and South Park: The Stick of Truth, so has some previous speedrunning experience. And Poogle, you want to tell us about Math?
So Math started running only a couple of weeks ago before the tournament started, and actually PB'd today about a half an hour before this run, so he's improved a lot since the time he started. He's going to be doing a keyboard and mouse setup, and this is also the first game he's ever speedrun, so he's come a long way since deciding to start it up.
Right, absolutely. It's really, really cool that Math did PB so recently, like within the past hour. Prior to that PB, Math's PB was sitting about 7 minutes slower than Cubby, so Cubby with certainly a PB advantage going into this race. But with the new PB, it's only about 6 minutes. So Math, especially only being with the game for about 2 weeks, is having some really remarkable improvements. I guess, Poogle, while we're just sort of verifying that our runners are ready to go here, do you have any early predictions for who you might expect to take the victory?
Cubby's going a little on the safe side because it looks like he's going to get 7 health by the end of it instead of the 6 that people have seemed to be preferring during the tournament. So maybe he's playing it a little safer because it's a marathon setting. Maybe he's playing it a little safer because he's racing, but it'll be interesting to see if that determines any particular ways he plays.
I agree, and we have our countdown and SRL going. We'll be getting this race started very shortly as we see a wonderful, neat little transition into the action. Wait for it. There it is.
There it is.
I always like to quiet down. That's just such an interesting transition.
So cool.
Never want to interrupt it with our annoying voices. Anyway,
looks like we're off.
We are off. We are off. I'll throw it to you to discuss some of the early game. A lot of this commentary, by the way, will be a little bit overlapped with some of the other races, but we'll sort of try to update anyone who may be new. So, Poogle, what can we expect out of the early game of Ori?
Well, 2 things. One, we can expect to not soft lock immediately, like we did earlier. And we see that Math actually used the color code, which has no impact on gameplay whatsoever. It just makes Ori a different color.
Look at this sync, by the way. Our two runners jumping at almost exactly the same times. If Math didn't have a different color, I may have thought that we accidentally synced the same stream, but we didn't. They are 2 different people. Both Cubby and Math running off to the left to grab Sign, our companion character, who's also going to give us access to a basic attack.
So as the both runners were running to the left, they picked up this blue energy cell. Do you want to explain a bit how energy works?
Yeah, I would love to. Energy in this game is a very useful resource that can be used for a variety of purposes. One way to use energy is to make save points. Unlike other games that may have dedicated save point locations, not that Ori doesn't have them, but in Ori you can save anywhere you want to at the cost of energy, and that same energy can be used for a handful of abilities that can be used to break barricades, it can be used in combat, or can be used for additional speed. We'll be seeing a whole bunch of applications of energy as the run continues.
Mm-hmm. So now the first thing that the runners are going to be doing is they're going to be heading back up and around to get their first ability. Now on the... Oh, sorry?
No, you go ahead.
Now on the way, they've got to dodge a bunch of these really nasty slimes and make sure that they collect a certain amount of experience on the way, because early game experience counting is extremely important.
It absolutely is. The primary reason why our experience matters here in the early game is for a timed level up. When you level up in Ori, a handful of things happen at the same time. Most relevant is that when you level up, you send out a giant damaging shockwave, which just obliterates anything in your immediate surroundings, which can be used to take out a bunch of brambles. We're going to see two quick intentional deaths, taking a quick dip in the pool of poison water. Cubby with a little bit faster execution, but man, Cubby doesn't even have a 1 second lead. It's so close right now.
Mm-hmm. And both runners are also going to get their first health cell, which gives them an extra health from the 3 that they start with.
Right, absolutely. Health is very important in this run, as we've mentioned in previous races. We're going to need at least 5 before the run is over, but right now we're going to get 4. Getting that 4th health cell right at the start is not technically required, but the vast majority of runners go for it. I think if you skip it, you save like maybe 2 or 3 seconds. It's not very much compared to quite a bit of a riskier run for the entire time. So understandably, most players opt for that 4th health cell, including Math and Cubby.
What's also nice is that whenever you pick up a health cell, your health refills, so that a health that you had going into the ghost door is immediately refunded to you, and you don't have to worry about getting sniped.
Yeah, that's a great point, Poogle. We see Cubby leveling up on the way down, and Math. You can level up on the way down there or on the way up. It doesn't make much of a difference, but they've got their level up out of the way and are going to be approaching wall jump. So Poogle, what is wall jump?
Well, Grim, wall jump is where you jump on walls. It's an ability where you can keep spamming the jump button to go up walls so that instead of falling or just kind of sliding, you can end up getting to places that you normally couldn't, such as using it to get back immediately from the wall jump tree.
You could even say that it adds some verticality to the run. I had to do it.
I know.
Okay, well, we have our second energy cell. I mentioned earlier that we're going to need at least 5 health. There's no strict energy requirements, I think, to finish the run, but we will be getting 5 before the end. We have 2 so far, and we'll be getting another one before too long. Our next destination, as we use our fancy new wall jump skill to get back out of this wall jump area, is heading towards Black Group Burrows and another very important and recurring trick in the speedrun, which is known as Save Anywhere. Do you want to tell us about that one?
Sure. Save Anywhere is when you pull up the ability menu and use that to level up an ability where you normally couldn't save. Because when you level up the ability and you save, you can automatically come back to where that is. And it's used for skipping cutscenes and really long things that, well, we're speedrunning. We don't want to see any of that. Right.
And we've mentioned Save Anywhere multiple times. I want to take a minute and just emphasize how impactful Save Anywhere is to this version of the speedrun. Back when back in vanilla, right when Ori came out, we as a community didn't know about Save Anywhere for a long time. And just having Save Anywhere allows us to skip all of these cutscenes, which cumulatively, saves just a lot of time.
Looks like Cubby is actually a second or 2 ahead of his PB right now.
Wow. Very nicely done. Good pace by him. Math having a little bit of trouble getting through that cutscene skip, was able to get that. That's going to solidify Cubby's lead just a hair. Previously, Cubby was only a few seconds ahead. Now closer to, I don't know, maybe 10 seconds ahead. Still not a lot to speak of. Nothing for Math to be too worried about. But Cubby, I think, will be comfortable with a bit of an early lead.
However, this is Blackroot Burrows, and do you want to talk about the cycles that can make anything go wrong in here?
Oh, yes. Cycles are a pretty common term in any speedrun. It refers to various elements of the world that run on a timer, such that your movement in reaching those elements affects how quickly you can get through them. In Blackroot Burrows, there are multiple things that are on cycles. You have the shots from that little projectile. flower thing. Oh, Cubby with a quick death on the left side is going to bring him back to the start. It's actually going to let Math take the lead. Still only by a few seconds, and Cubby with another quick death, but a very valuable safety save. A good choice by Cubby to make that safety save. I didn't finish my thought about cycles, so Google, I think I'll throw to you to finish that out.
So, the cycles in here are almost akin to an auto-scroller, where you really can't do much about them aside from wait and just let the platforms take you where they may.
That is absolutely true. Speaking of cycles, if you direct your attention to the right, you're going to see Matt intentionally stand still for just a few seconds. That may look strange, standing still in a speedrun, but the reason is that there are platforms, not in this room, well, there are, but there's platforms in the next room, and pausing there at the start of the platform allows you to manipulate the cycle in the next room and allow you to save 8 seconds. Because for whatever weird reason, like every single cycle in the game just saves 8 seconds. Just, that's kind of the way that it all worked out.
You think they're all on some, like, weird universal cycle where 8 seconds is the magic number?
It might be. We'd have to ask Moon Studios about that one. We did see Math catch that cycle, and looks like Cubby made it as well. Math still with just a few second lead. He's going to head up to this lever, just barely avoiding death by laser. Nice job. We'll see if Cubby can get this same jump. It's a little bit finicky. Nicely done by him. We're going to see Math then drop a safety save. Well, it's not even a safety save, excuse me. It's a save anywhere save in order to skip a cutscene. Anytime you see these save anywheres, it's usually to skip cutscenes. And what is skipping this cutscene going to get us to, Poogle? I almost said Poggle. That's not your name.
Well, it'll probably get Chet to do something. But this is the Dash tree. Now, Dash is one of the 2 new abilities that was put into the Definitive Edition, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It makes you go pretty fast.
It is. It lets you go so fast that this all skills speedrun in the Definitive Edition, despite containing 2 additional skills, is actually faster than the vanilla version, which only had like 9 skills as opposed to 11. We're going to see Math using Dash and Cubby right on his tail. Math on the right side, still with just a slight lead. Not much to speak of, though.
Both
Math
riders
is gonna...
choosing to not take the save at the teleporter.
Yeah, taking that save at the teleporter can be safe because this Frankie Walk is a difficult trick in its own right, and if you mess it up, you have to reload and go all the way back to the Dash tree. But even if you successfully get through this Frankie Walk trick, you have I wouldn't say a high likelihood, but you have certainly a chance to die in the Death Gauntlet, which will also send you all the way back to Dash. So yeah, saving at the Spirit Well, not an uncommon thing to see.
Well, since you've been talking about Frankie Walk, do you want to explain why this is so important?
I wouldn't. Look at this sync. This trick is going to allow us to get through a 4 energy door in a very powerful sequence break. This is unreal. Look at this sync. Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, both runners making it through the door, working their way into the Death Gauntlet, taking a jump. Cubby on the left opting to dunk the Frankie. Math running right underneath is going to get underneath his Crusher. Looks like Cubby going for something known as a Death Glide. Perfectly done without taking any damage. Is going to give him a few second lead over Math, who instead opted to take out a handful of brambles and wait for it. We're going to see Cubby jump up the wall and work his way down into Grotto. I would expect to see him take a safety save, and he opted not to. We'll see if Math decides. Math also not taking the safety save.
They are so close right now.
Next up, immediately, we have something known as the fast Crusher cycle or God cycle. Cubby just with a little bit of a mistake, and looks like Math opted to not go for it at all. So that's a cycle that can save you 8 seconds like everything else in the run. But neither person missed it, so no advantage or disadvantage from either runner. Yes, crushies, excuse me. I accidentally said crushers. Cubby on the left still with a few second lead as we approach our next area.
So both runners taking intentional damage here because coming up is another Ghost Door, which they're going to use the Spider to their advantage to get through the Ghost Door.
Oh, Cubby with a quick death is going to... we're having all these little minor lead changes. Before, Cubby was a few seconds in the lead on the left. Now Math on the right is a few seconds in the lead. Cubby's going to be coming up to the double jump tree and doing not a save anywhere, but just a sort of skip using an ability point in order to do a bunch of blind movement. Poogle, do you want to tell us about blind movement?
So there's a couple of instances in blind movement in the game, and this first one is where you need to go over the Frankie, over the poison water, up towards the spikes, and then start moving up the wall around the spikes, although the cutscene of the tree is still playing.
Sorry, I almost wanted to interrupt you. I just want to talk about, look how close this race is. Cubby opting for a safety save. I think that's a smart safety save by Cubby because he did take a little bit of damage during his During his blind movement, we're going to see both Cubby and Math coming up to their attempts at grotto skip, a precise wall jump to skip the left side. Cubby with a first try. Beautiful. And Math having a little bit of trouble is going to give Cubby just, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 seconds on a lead. Not very much to speak of. This race is
it's less than
unbelievably
that.
close. You're right. It's less than that.
It is a single second.
This has to be one of the
At
closest
3.
races we've had so far. Oh no. Now Cubby on the left is having a little bit of trouble with his jumping, and that's gonna, well, I mean, Math had a bit of trouble as well. They're just mirror images of each other. Cubby still with just like 1 or 2 seconds of lead. Now Cubby having issues with jumps.
Now, Math doing these seconds in a quick series of rekindle saves to where you put the save down, you can rekindle it as you're walking so that you can skip the cutscenes, which normally there's a bunch of rocks that are kind of trying to fall down your head, but luckily we can skip that.
I literally have my hands on my head. I cannot believe how close this is. I'm almost afraid. I don't want to give these guys a commentator's curse and mess something up, but we see both of these guys. You will be seeing many of these cutscenes play out of order due to that very powerful Frankie Walk sequence break from earlier. We're going to see Cubby and Math stop by a Spirit Well. The Spirit Wells, along with acting as save points that recharge your health and energy, are also fast travel points, and we're going to be fast traveling back to that Spirit Well a little bit later. We see Math and Cubby doing a series of timed double jumps to get up these walls more quickly than doing single wall jumps. Getting over these spikes that deal 3 damage apiece. Cubby opting for a bit of a dash glide to gain a little bit of extra speed. This is crazy, Poogle.
This is insane. Now, so Cubby choosing to not go for the ability cell that is on the top of this tree, Math choosing to instead go for it, so that does put Cubby a little bit ahead, but he has to make that up somewhere, right?
He does. He does. This is gonna, as you said, give Cubby a bit of a lead now, but skipping that ability cell is indicative of a slight route difference, generally meaning that later in the run, Cubby, I actually wasn't aware that he was going to be doing this. We'll see if he does end up doing it. We may see Cubby go for a trick known as Crazy Juggle. It's going to be later in the run, so don't hold your breath. We'll get there. It could also be that Cubby is doing a different experience route, but the point, as you said, is that even though it did give Cubby a little bit more of a lead right now, that ability cell, Math didn't get it for funsies. He got it because it is required for the route, which means that Cubby's going to have to get something else or do Crazy Juggle, which means that Math still has plenty of opportunities to catch back up. But we've made our way into the Ginso tree.
All right. So, Grim, since you were the one that brought up verticality before, do you want to talk about how that applies in here?
Oh boy. If there was ever a dungeon that was vertical, this is the one. Have you ever thought to yourself, I think that platformers are too flat, they're too horizontal? Well, Ori's a game for you, because the Ginso tree, or Jinso tree, as some may prefer to call it, is
Do not
very...
bring that argument up.
It's not an argument. It's pronounced, just pronounce it the correct way, and it's not an argument. Anyway, we see Cubby working through the first 2 rooms into a puzzle room. This puzzle room, as far as Ori goes, is a little bit of a breather. Math, meanwhile, making his way through the second room, and he'll be making his way up into the puzzle room as well. On the left, Cubby still with a lead, primarily due to skipping that ability cell just like a minute ago. We're also going to see Math drop a quick safety save. Cubby actually took damage, which means he's going to have to push this block and wait for another 2 full cycles on this flower. This is going to be enough for Math to almost catch up. That little mistake by Cubby cost quite a bit of time.
Did Math
And a
succeed, or
death!
did Math just do telehops?
I think Math did telehops. Very impressive from anyone, especially no runner. Cubby did take a death on the left. That's going to be enough to give Math on the right side a lead. Cubby's going to have to go back through the second room of the Ginso tree, work his way back up. Many of these jumps are more precise than they look. And Math on the right making his way into the mini-boss. Poogle, can you tell us about this mini-boss?
Well, this mini-boss is able to spawn in one of 5 places in this room. Currently, you see that it's in 3. Now there's a 1-frame tell. See how Math just automatically moves over to the right, where you can see that it's going to spawn in a certain location. However, it's random where it's going to spawn each time, so you can either get good luck or bad luck here.
Well, and the interesting thing is that although Ori as a speedrun as a whole contains very, very little RNG, as you said, this mini-boss is one of the rare sources of RNG, but it's also RNG that is sort of manipulatable, not fully. But you can sort of account for that either by looking for the 1-frame tell or by positioning yourself very carefully. It looked like Math may not have been fully aware, given his how new he is, may not have been fully aware of the correct or fastest positioning for that room, so that he did have a bit of a slow mini boss. This may be some room for Cubby to catch back up as well. On the right side, we see Math going through, grabbing 4 keystones. He'll take another intentional death. Nicely done, managing his health to take that quick death, and that's going to bring him straight to Bash, whereas Cubby also made it through his mini boss just fine.
Alright, so what Bash is Bash allows you to take the lanterns or an enemy or a projectile and throw it one way while you throw yourself the other direction. Now, if it's a projectile, it can also mean that you take the projectile and toss it, or if it's an enemy, you can somewhat manipulate it.
That's right. That's right. We're going to see Math, having a bit of trouble with that projectile. That's okay. He'll get another attempt. At the start of the Ginso tree, to give you an idea of how dynamic this race is right now, at the start of the Ginso tree, Cubby was in the lead with about a 22-second delta over his opponent. Right now, Math, at least as of Bash, was about 47 seconds ahead. We'll be getting those updated numbers, but the point is that Math has taken the lead over his opponent. We're going to see Math going for another intentional death shortly, missing that key, so he'll be taking another attempt. No worries. He's going to get up and try to take a quick death in a precise location. Nicely done, in order to duplicate some keystones.
So those keystones are going to be necessary for later in the run, where normally you'd have to go through a bunch of water in order to get certain things, but since we don't actually clean the water in this route, we need to get around that somehow.
Right. I mean, go swimming through the water in that section is not only slow, but as you said, it's going to be impossible. So it's good that we have a way around it. Looks like Math already did successfully get a key dupe. Cubby also got his successfully, but was a little bit slower. So Math already with the lead, and it's just going to be really fascinating to see all these minor little changes to see what could eventually make or break the lead, or if we might see another costly death. I hope we don't, but it could always happen. We have, I would argue, the more dangerous areas of the run coming up.
So Cubby just did an interesting thing called a hyperspeed. You want to explain how that works?
Yeah, hyperspeed is an interesting trick where you can save during a dash, and then when you respawn, you go super fast, basically the same speed that you were going during the dash. And if you sort of jump out of that, you can just, we call it hyperspeed because you shoot off like a bullet in a horizontal direction. And it's a very powerful trick. Doesn't save a huge amount of time, but it's nice to see. It does save a little bit of time. And right now, saving little bits of time might be what Cubby needs, because unless Math makes a mistake, Cubby has some catching up to do.
Math at the door was about 18 seconds.
Yeah, so we skipped the Ginso escape. We've talked about that in some other matches. It's a route change that happened about 4 months ago, but we still need to get into Swamp because there is a skill in Swamp called Stomp. That's a bit of a tongue twister. We're going to see Math on the right going for something known as Swamp Entry Poogle.
So Math almost looked like he wasn't going to be able to make the safety save there, but managed to move the frog so that he could. Now, So Math looks like he's going to try to double bash into Swamp, which is a 1 frame perfect trick where you bash a projectile.
I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. Come on, Cubby, you can do this. Oh, so close. You need to manipulate your position very carefully in order to get enough height. Oh, no. Okay, so this is crazy. Cubby almost had that frog through first. If Cubby had been able to get through, he would have clinched the lead away from Math. Math is going to take his second attempt, and Cubby didn't make a safety save just before the frog, which means he has to do a handful of seconds of blind movement. I also want to point out that Cubby is playing this game on controller right now, as opposed to Math playing out in keyboard mouse, which means that Math has the luxury of easier double bashes compared to controller. That's primarily why you see the difference between these two methods. We see both of them at about the same point. Who is going to get into Swamp first? Math with his double bash still missed the second shot, and Cubby is through. We'll see if he drops a safety save. Did not drop a safety save. Was still able to make it past the Rhino and is going to be continuing on. GG by Cubby to take that lead back, but now Math is through.
Good job on Math to manipulate that projectile with D-bashes to get into Swamp, even though the angle wasn't the best.
I agree. So we're quickly coming up to our next skill. This race is just insane. I'm almost at a loss for words. We've had... How many lead changes?
Trailing a rainbow behind him.
He is indeed. There are sort of 2 cheat codes in this game that we're aware of. One of them is a color change code that we've already discussed. One of them allows you to have a sort of rainbow effect on your dash trail. Again, functionally changes nothing whatsoever, but it does play a different sound effect, so that's kind of cool. Anyway, do you want to tell us a little bit about Stomp?
So Stomp is normally the way you get out of this area. Because what you're supposed to do is take those barriers and stomp down on them. So, since we can't do that, Stomp allows you to just go really fast when you're going downwards. It also does a really decent amount of damage to any enemies that are beneath you, which is going to help in an upcoming mini-boss if some of the runners decide to take that route.
That's right. So on the left, we see Cubby still in the lead. Nice job getting up to that ability cell, using the same frog that he used to break into Swamp to sort of break out of it. Math, we see shortly on his lead. We're going to see Cubby quickly coming up to the Kuro cutscene skip. It is a very precisely positioned bash cutscene skip. If Cubby does this correctly, you will see nothing happening whatsoever. Did get the cutscene skip. Meanwhile, Math on the right accidentally killed his frog, which means that he can still get up to that ability cell, but has to take a different approach. I want to give props, even though Cubby's in the lead and doing very, very well. I want to give props to Math for, given how new he is, knowing the backup and executing it so cleanly. I think a lot of players, maybe myself included, would have sort of panicked and reloaded a save instead, but good adaptation there by Math. Oh no. Quick save. No worries.
So, ideally, Math is now going to go for... Ooh, or not. Math is going to go for the Kuro cutscene skip, and if it is done in the way it needs to, nothing will happen.
Math did not get his Kuro cutscene skip. That's going to cost him some time. That trick is very, very precise. Cubby made it look very easy, but believe me, it's not. So Cubby just really solidifying his lead here. We've had so many lead changes already. Cubby making his way to Charge Flame, which is a skill that's not going to be heavily used in the speedrun, but it is a skill, which means we need to get it for the All Skills run. Pretty shortly, we did see Cubby open up another save ability menu for a save anywhere, which he'll be using to skip a cutscene. On the right, then, we also see Math going for a fifth health cell, excuse me. Cubby also went for that fifth health cell, so getting that health cell there is optional, but it's not going to lose Math any time compared to his opponent. Poogle, man, there's so much happening right now.
So much going on.
We're sort of moving into the left side of the map. Sort of, what are your views on some of the upcoming challenges for Cubby, and then later on for Math?
It's all going to come down to spikes. It's all going to come down to the fact that the runner's going to have 5 health going into the area with all of the spikes in it. And all of those spikes are going to put them 1, maybe 2 hits away from having to do everything over until they put safety saves down.
That is accurate. If you direct your attention to the left as we see Math come towards Charge Flame, we're about to see Cubby go for one of the, not more difficult necessarily, but one of the more precise tricks in the run, known as Fast Stompless. You're going to see Cubby go off to the left, and what he's going to do shortly, making a nice safety save there. Cubby's going to go off to the left and take a spider projectile, having a little bit of trouble with that bash. He'll do it again. Take one of these spider projectiles and bash it at a precise angle. This trick also... I would argue is a hair easier on KBM, whereas Cubby sort of has to aim it more manually. He's going to try to get up as high as possible. Oh, no!
Oh, no!
Okay, so what happened there? What happened there for anyone unfamiliar? Cubby, there are 2 hard parts to Fast Stompless. First, you have to have your shots hit the rocks, which Cubby did successfully do. The problem is that Cubby also needs to get an ability cell, and if you hit the rocks, you immediately get teleported to the next skill, which means that you would have to go way far out of your way to get that extra ability cell. Cubby, rather than going out of his way, is opting to just reload his save and go for the trick again. But having a little bit of trouble with his movement. Let's see if he can get up there in time, getting the lantern, and...
That was a little high.
It was high.
Oof.
So that time we had the opposite problem. That time Cubby missed his shot, but did make it back to the ability cell. All of these mistakes. I mean, I'm slurring my words. I'm so excited. Cubby is still in the lead on the left, but Math is quickly closing that gap. If Math can get a clean, Fast Stompless and get back to his ability cell, we're going to see Cubby with a much smaller lead than he currently has.
Math not going for the safety save, though.
It's a safety save that I don't see from, I think, most runners. I think most runners would just opt to
oh, never mind.
Go for that again. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. We have a race on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. Poogle, do you want to break it down for us? What are we seeing? Why is this so close?
Alright, so... Looked like Cubby missed that, ooh, and Math takes a death. But his safety save is right there.
This is a very fascinating situation. This trick, as I mentioned, is very precise. Cubby did originally come into this area with a much stronger lead, but has been having quite a bit of trouble with the trick since.
And
He
Math
got the trick
gets
again.
it around. Wait, did Cubby get the cell too?
No, he did not. I don't think. No, Math. I'm sorry. I'm slurring my information. A lot is happening here. Let me take a breath. Let me break it down for you. Math successfully got his fast stompless and got the cell. Cubby did get his fast stompless. I'll be honest, I
did
missed
not
whether
get the cell.
Cubby did not get the cell. That means
No.
that Cubby's going to have to go out of his way to get the cell again. So this may look synced, but Math actually has the lead right now. Remember that Cubby also skipped the ability cell back before the Ginso tree. Cubby is now 2 ability cells down at this point in the run. That's difficult to recover from. and things don't lighten up from here. Math on the right is going to get this frog. He's going to do a nice, clean rocket jump up going into what is considered the hardest trick in the game, Sorrow Bash, another very powerful sequence break that lets us get into an area known as Sorrow Pass out of order, allowing us to skip the second dungeon entirely and do Misty Woods out of order. Meanwhile, Cubby is unable to go do this trick that Math is trying to execute right now because he has to go get his cell again. Let's see if Math can get this first try.
First try.
Sorrow Bash.
Math is on a roll.
Math has been at this game for 2 weeks. This performance is really, really amazing to see. So with
And
Matt, go ahead, Boo Boo.
Cubby's just going for the normal stompless now.
I just have to say again, I'm very, very impressed with Math's play. It's been very, very clean so far. He's working his way up. We'll see if we see a safety save. Nice, I take that same safety save myself. So Math has made it.
Well, Cubby's
go ahead.
about to do Sorrow Bash on his end.
He is. So right now, most of the action is going to be on your left side as Cubby is going for his attempt at Sorrow Bash, has to wait for the bird to meander away. Sorrow Bash is not only a difficult trick to execute, but if you misposition these birds, you can tend to waste some additional time trying to reposition them back to their spawn locations. So Cubby taking his attempt here at Sorrow Bash. Bird position looks good. So close. So close. Just had a little bit too much damage on that bird. Meanwhile, on the right, as Cubby continues his Sorrow Bash attempts, we did see Math pick up his 9th skill, which is Charge Jump. It's going to allow him to charge up a jump going very high. And as opposed to Cubby,
Cubby gets it.
Cubby gets it. Good job by
sir.
Cubby. He's through. Well done. Math on the right is going to go for a trick known as Terra Break. He has his ability menu open as he navigates these spikes, which remember that Math has 5 health, which means that these spikes will not insta-kill him. Cubby has to do Sorrow Bash again.
Again, he didn't take the safety save with the ability cell.
There is a backup you can use there, but Cubby, there's another piece of information I want to point out here, which is that Cubby actually did message me before the race and said that he has virtually no race experience whatsoever, not even just a race in tournament setting. He's virtually done no races whatsoever. And so I think that nerves may be getting to Cubby a little bit here.
Even so, like, having no experience in a race setting and still doing all of this is fantastic.
Oh, I agree. I mean, Cubby has been in the lead for much of this race. Currently, Math with a lead that is ever growing with all the trouble that Cubby has with this trick. And I want to emphasize, this is a very, very difficult trick. Math made it look easy, but it is anything but. We're going to see Cubby continue taking his attempts at this trick, while Math has not only made it into Sorrow Pass and made it to Charge Jump, he's also made it to Sunstone. So we're going to see a bit of a high five here. Cubby just having a lot of trouble with Sorrow Bash, as Math is going to make his way back down, hopefully not take a death on the spikes while stomping down as quickly as he can possibly go, and then work his way into Misty Woods. I guess I would recommend that viewers keep your attention on the left a little bit as Cubby continues going for these attempts. Take my energy, Cubby. I believe in you. But Poogle, can you just tell us a hair about Misty Woods on the right side?
So Misty Woods is a shifting area where every time you pick up one of the keystones in the area, it'll change around a bit. It's pretty linear and is a lot of people's favorite area just for the sake of movement. You have almost all of the movement options available to you, so stuff gets a little crazy.
It absolutely does. Misty Woods can be a very, very enjoyable area because you get to use your skills in all kinds of interesting
Cubby's
ways,
through.
but it's also very spooky. Cubby's through again. Remember that this is not the first time Cubby's made it through. So similar to how when you get through Frankie Walk, you still have to get through Death Gauntlet, this is sort of another Death Gauntlet. There's lots of spikes, and all of them will, if not insta-kill you, they will almost insta-kill you. Cubby getting the shot that time, taking a bit of safety energy. He's going to go do another rocket jump off this frog. We'll see if we see a safety save at the top. No safety save at the top. Cubby is going for it. I have to say, I love the attitude despite the nerves. Cubby's going to be heading off to the left. We'll likely see a ghost or another intentional death here, making the
He's
save,
through.
activating his save anywhere, opting to not do the ghost door. The ghost door only saves a few seconds anyway. So Cubby making his way to charge jump. And it looks like we'll be going for the Terra break as well.
And Math looks like he's going to be getting to climb.
We have about a 1 skill tree difference between these two runners.
Cubby's going for charge jump for the Terra break method. He's going to have to watch the Sunstone cutscene, though, because he doesn't have
Oh my god.
the second experience.
I didn't even think about that. That's a great...
He missed the ability cell before going into the Ginso tree.
Getting we have a lot going on. Poogle, I'm going to let you relay that information from our helpers.
So there's a plant right next to the Sunstone that you can use. It's one of the only uses for Charge Flame that actually gets used sometimes. And there's enough in there to level up for Sunstone cutscene. Apparently, Cubby's doing an older experience route.
Well, I mean, if it works, then it works. Cubby, thankfully not having to watch what is a very lengthy cutscene when you pick up the Sunstone. He was an ability cell down, as we mentioned, but thankfully able to save it with a well-timed level up off of the plant. Will be picking up the Sunstone on the left, skipping the cutscene, and is now going to rush back down that vertical column as quickly as possible to get into Misty Woods. Math on the right still with a very sizable lead. Having relatively clean movement, a handful of mistakes here and there, but has made it not only past climb, but is quickly approaching the end of Misty Woods in the form of double mini-bosses with a handful of quick kill methods to take out. We'll see what Math opts to do, assuming he can make it there safely. Cubby has made it past the Sarabash. Spikes is just going to sort of drift down, take a bit of experience, again with a bit of an older experiencer, as he makes his way into the same area that Math is about to finish. Math with a very impressive performance.
What we're being told, and from what people are asking, Math may be a minute. Math is over a minute 30 ahead of his PB pace at climb.
The monster. Remember that Math. To give a little bit of history on the wonderful mathluco, in my race versus Math yesterday, Math PB'd to get a 41.29 down from 41.37. Today, in less than an hour before the race, Math PB'd again at a 40.20, just about at that sub 40 time. If Math keeps this up, he will shatter sub 40. Super, super exciting to see. Poogle, we did talk before this match that Math was going to get sub 40 anytime, and then it might happen in this race. I don't want to curse things, but we'll see what happens. He's playing very, very cleanly. And the stop cancels as well. So Math taking a teleport back to the entrance of Blackroot Burrows. This is our second time we're revisiting the area, but this time we're going to go even deeper.
Do you want to take a minute to mention the stop cancels real fast and how that helps conserve energy, which is an ever-shrinking resource?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way the stop canceling works, when you do a charge dash, which you've seen plenty of in this run, charge dashes take energy, and as you mentioned, Poogle, we have a very limited amount. But it turns out that there are multiple ways to refund that energy. One of them is charge dashing directly into bashing on an enemy, which you see repeatedly, and you will continue to see repeatedly. Another way is to do a well-timed stomp out of a charge dash. It's something that's it's not difficult to do like one time, but it's difficult to get them consistently enough to save time in a speed run. And to see it from anyone, especially a relatively new runner like Math, is I think just a testament to the practice and attention that Math has been giving the speedrun. Meanwhile, on the left, Cubby with a handful of deaths has made it to climb, but is having a little bit of trouble afterwards. Again, maybe some of those nerves getting to Cubby. We'll see if he opts to talk to us out after the race. Maybe we can ask him about that.
Math getting the last tree of the game, and he's still a minute and a half ahead of his PB. He's
even gaining time on his personal best. Unreal performance. We've talked about Cubby potentially having some nerves. I would be lying if I said that I knew mathluco well enough to know that if he's nervous for this, but if he's nervous, boy, he's not showing it. Very, very clean play. Poogle, do you want to tell us a little bit about what we can expect out of Math going forward for the next few minutes?
So, Math is at 5 health cells right now. I believe he's picking up a 6th. Whether it is this one, it is this one. Then we're going to the last teleporter in Swamps to go to the Escape in Horror, which is the other dungeon we don't really see.
That's right. Just to make it extra explicit for any viewers who may be less familiar with Ori, mathluco on the right with a very sizable lead. First place right now over his opponent, Cubby on the left. Cubby is coming into his mini-boss. Looks like he's opting for a bit of a slower method. Did take out one of the 2 mini-bosses. He'll be taking out the second one. Almost taking out the second one. That's okay. He'll get it, this pesky mini-boss. There it goes. Get out of here. Math just making clean work of this. While I was watching that mini-boss, Math progressed all the way from the teleporter, all the way over to these little energy sentinels. I don't actually know what they're called. Energy sentinels.
I don't either.
Well, do you want to make some door war predictions?
He's going
for grenade jumps. The absolute
He
madman.
got it. Oh my goodness. The madman.
Math
Holy
is
crap.
pulling out all of the stops. If there were any stops, there are none anymore.
So grenade jump is yet another single frame trick that Math just made look easy.
He did indeed. We're going to see Math take his attempts at door warped, a frame perfect trick to skip the entire dungeon. And he got it not first try. Thankfully, each of these attempts only loses a few seconds, so still with very, very clean PB potential. Not second try. We'll sort of count those attempts as Cubby makes his way quickly down. Looks like did get it on the third attempt. Math will be making his way into the final escape. Cubby on the left, meanwhile, with a quick intentional death to glitch a door to always be opening, is making his way down to the 11th skill. Cubby needs a miracle to come back.
Which means Math still is about a minute and a half, maybe a minute 20 from his... Like, he's still ahead of PB.
He is. But Math's not out of the woods yet. He still has to get through this final escape. As we mentioned way earlier, we did skip the Ginsu escape, which means that water, and there is a section of water at the end of this final escape sequence, is still poison. When you're in poison water, you take damage once a second. And you require, based on the speed that Ori can swim, you require at least 5 health to get through. Math does have 6, which means he'll have a slightly easier time.
Cubby looks like he's having to watch the cutscene.
Oh my gosh. This is a cutscene that's generally we do skip with an ability cell. I guess Cubby having a little bit of issues. Math on the right, though, direct your attention over there, has made his way through the poison water, is going to go up, attempt another frame perfect trick. You're going to see Math jump up and then bash off some boulders before clinging to a wall on the left. He's going to try the same trick that we saw him do as a bit of a swag move on the way and having a little bit of trouble. That's fine. He'll bash off this. Going to cling to the wall in a particular location, aim up and try to throw a grenade and jump 1 frame later. Each one of these attempts only costs a few seconds, and he does Math did successfully despawn Kuro, so he's going to have as many attempts as he desires. Come on, Math, take my energy. And he's through! Applause, applause, applause.
That's going to be a PB.
That's going to absolutely be a PB.
That's going to be a PB by over a minute.
Oh, that's going to be over a minute PB. Well done by Math. GG, taking the victory over Cubby. As always, Math's timer is not done quite yet. That little grenade jump at the end is a way to skip through part of the final cutscene, and Math just has to hold right. We'll be getting you an update on his final time shortly. So GG to Math. In the meantime, Cubby has made it to Light Grenade. He has all the skills that he needs, has to wait for this laser for just a moment before dashing through. We're going to see Cubby working his way back out of the lower Blackroot Burrows area, has to wait for this laser as well. Those lasers are insta-kill, by the way, and is going to be heading towards Mount Horror as well. Meanwhile, that will be time for Math with a very solid PB. Not only did Math break sub 40, he broke sub 39.
Math's
never even seen it. Never even seen a 39.
Minute and 25 PB. Math's time is a 38:55.
Math has PB'd 3 times in the past 2 days. He PB'd just before this race, and then he PB'd in this race. I'll be very excited to pay attention to Math throughout this tournament. I think we may have a bit of a new talent on our hands here, and I'll be very excited to see it.
Absolutely. And Cubby now heading towards Horror himself.
That's right. Cubby opting to continue doing these charge dashes into cancels, taking another health cell here. I missed whether Cubby took the 6th health cell by the teleporter in Blackroot Burrow. So Cubby here with either 6 or 7 health. Either way should be enough to get him through the poison water. Is going to stop that barricade rather than throwing a Baneling at it. Doing some nice dashes in midair, working his way towards his door warp. Math did get a 3rd try door warp, so we'll see if Cubby can do better. I think all of us here on the sort of production side are just sort of in awe. No disrespect to Cubby, who's still putting on a fine performance, but what a run by Math. Well done.
Oh, hey, this is your group, man.
It is. I have a lot of work to do. I have fear in my heart after watching both of these guys. Cubby taking his attempts at door warp. Here's attempt number 1.
First try.
Nice job.
All right.
That is a frame perfect trick. Do you want to sort of run us through the final escape one more time?
All right. So after getting Kuro, which is the bird, to show up to this part, you've got to go through all the lava, through the falling boulders, and through the poison water, which, as we said, we don't clean the water from the Ginso tree. So you've got to swim through that without dying and get all the way up and out.
Oh, that's right. I was just laughing. I saw a comment saying I was lucky to face Matt yesterday. Anyway, so there's a bit of a lava pillar here. Cubby will be taking it a little bit safe, as always, using as much energy as possible. It is not possible without using debug mode to save anywhere, just barely avoiding damage there. Nice job. Cubby does have to avoid pretty much all damage in this escape in order to have enough health remaining to survive his swim in the poison water. Strapping on his scuba tank. There he goes. One fish, two fish, we're out of the poison water, making his way up to his final grenade jump. Math also took a handful of attempts to get his grenade jump. It is a one-frame trick, pressing 2 inputs 1 frame apart. We'll see how quickly Cubby can do it.
And Cubby gets first try. Nice.
Well done. What's also interesting for anyone who may not be familiar, that final grenade jump does have a chance to soft lock you, which means that you have to redo the final escape sequence. So good job by Cubby getting his positioning correct in order to not soft lock. So Cubby, despite the second place finish, still finishing out very, very strong. He'll be holding right and will be finishing out here before too long.
Still a really good time.
Yes, and also remember that Cubby really doesn't have race experience, so nerves may be getting to Cubby more than he would have hoped, but certainly some things to work on for the next race. We will be getting mathluco in here for an interview just shortly, and I will be confirming whether or not we want to talk to Cubby. It looks like Cubby opting to just sort of relax after that race, which is very understandable. But we will be bringing Math in here for an interview. So Math, I used my magical Discord powers to pull you into this channel.
Cubby's final time.
Hey.
42-24.
Congratulations to Cubby as well. Math, congratulations not only on the win, but on that ridiculous PB.
Yes, that was insane. I can't believe it.
How are you feeling?
Very good. Except for at Swamp Entry, I wasn't planning on doing those double bashes. In the Twitch chat of the previous match, Cubby said "Oh, mathluco, you could just pull out those double bashes." I didn't do double bashes before, and he said you can learn these double bashes in the 3 hours we have to until our run. And I said, why not? And I tried doing the double bashes in Swamp Entry, but after a few tries, I was like, no, there's no way I'm getting consistent at this in 3 hours. So I planned on not using it, but because I practiced it out of muscle memory, I just did it, and I said, whatever, let's go with it.
You're telling me you learned double bashing in the 3 hours before your match today? That is insane.
Actually, no, I tried double bashes before. I knew how to do them, I just didn't use them.
Well, good job using them today. I want to ask you as well, you PB'd just before the race, and then you PB'd again, so clearly you're on a hot streak. I want to ask about some specific things you did during that run. I saw that you did the sort of swag grenade jump to get to the horror door. Sort of those kinds of tricks. I saw you do some stomp cancels. Are all of those smaller pieces of tech things that you had planned to do in advance, or are they things you decided to pull out because you knew that you were on pretty solid pace?
No, the 2 grenade jumps are planned. Everything except the Swamp Entry, basically.
That is fair. What's your secret? What can we tell the viewers at home? What's the secret to getting good at Ori?
I have no idea, man. I wouldn't really
one
consider
trick
myself good at this point, though.
Well, I would say that you are good, especially given how new you are to the game. It's very, very impressive. As you know, this is a very difficult video game. Pugul, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Math?
So Math, what do you say? You're coming for Grim next, right?
That guy's bad. Easy match. No, I will legitimately be practicing to make sure that I can beat you because boy, I'm gonna have my work cut out for me. So Math, congratulations on your victory. Congratulations on your PB. Cubby, even though you're not here interviewing with us, congratulations on your finish as well. I'll be excited to see your future races too. And otherwise, that will be it for Ori for today. We'll also just give you can see it on screen, but we'll give a very, very quick rundown of the updated group standings. Math, you've now played 2 of your 3 matches in the Forlorn Runes group, putting you at 1-1. And then we have Cubby with 1 loss and myself with 1 win. Eviona has not played any of her matches, although Evie is also, last I checked, I think number 9 in the world. So Evie is a force to be reckoned with, that's for sure. But otherwise, as I said, that'll do it for us today in terms of Ori. We do have, based on the schedule, 2 additional matches tomorrow. The first one, I believe, starting at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
That is correct. It's going to be Skullblock 17 versus Delira.
That's right. So if anyone has maybe seen Ori for the first time today, if you are enjoying the tournament and would like to see more of it, we've only been at the tournament for like 4 days or something, so we have a lot of tournament remaining. Make sure to continue to tune into the various speed gaming channels for more Ori action over the coming weeks. On commentary, this has been me, Gramelios. Poogle, it's been a pleasure commentating with you.
It was a pleasure commentating with you as well.
Congratulations again, Math, on the win, and we will see you all later. Bye.
Bye.
Attempts at grotto skip, a precise wall jump to skip the left side. Cubby with a first try. Beautiful. And Math having a little bit of trouble is going to give Cubby just pronounce it the correct way, and it's not an argument. Anyway, we see Cubby working through the first 2 rooms into a puzzle room. This puzzle room, as far as Ori goes, is a little bit of a breather. Math, meanwhile, making his way through the second room, and he'll cycles on this flower. This is going to be enough for Math to almost catch up. That little mistake by Cubby cost quite a bit of time.
Did Math did Math just do telehops?
I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to jinx it. Come on, Cubby, you can do this. Oh, so close. You need to manipulate your position very carefully in order to get enough height. Oh no! Okay, so this is crazy. Cubby almost had that frog precisely positioned bash cutscene skip. If Cubby does this correctly, we will see nothing happening whatsoever. Did get the cutscene skip. Meanwhile, Math on the right accidentally killed his frog, which means whereas Cubby sort of has to aim it more manually. He's going to try to get up as high as possible. Oh no! Okay, so what happened there? What happened there for anyone unfamiliar? Closing that gap. If Math can get a clean, fast stompless and get back to his ability cell, we're going to see Cubby with a much smaller lead than he currently has.
Math not going for the safety save, though.
Wow, wow, wow. We have a race on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. Poogle, do you want to break it down for us? What are we seeing? Why is this so close?
Alright, so looks like
reposition them back to their spawn locations. So Cubby taking his attempt here at Sorrow Bash. Bird position looks good. So close. So close. 40 time. If Math keeps this up, he will shatter sub 40. Super, super exciting to see. Poogle, we did talk before this match that Math was going to get sub 40 anytime and that it might happen in this race. I don't want to curse things, but we'll...
Last tree of the game, and he's still a minute and a half ahead of his PB.
He's even gaining time on his personal best. Do you want to make some door predictions?
He's going
for grenade jumps. The absolute madman.
He got it. Oh my goodness, the madman.
Math is pulling out all of the... Math's not out of the woods yet. He still has to get through this final escape. As we mentioned way earlier,